If you want an adventure, you could climb a mountain! Or ride dune buggies through the desert! Or you could just head to your neighborhood Zaxby's. Introducing the Smokehouse Cheddar Barbecue and Southwest Chipotle Filet Sandwich Meals. They're brand new and they'll take your taste buds to wild and exciting new places. Both feature our famous hand-breaded chicken, and they're both available for a limited time. Only at your neighborhood Zaxby's. And don't miss Jumanji: The Next Level, only in theaters.
From Tally to Cali.
It's time
to wake up.
Wake up, wake up. Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by Zaxby's.
Now here's Warchant.com's Aslan Hajavandi
and Corey Clark.
What's up, everybody? Welcome on into Wake Up Warchant, presented by Zaxby's. I'm Aslan. Corey's here as well. We're in the Midtown offices, Tallahassee, Florida. We work for Warchant.com. Check us out, Warchant.com. Use the promo code Warchant30. Get you 30 free days of access to the ultimate Seminole sports source. Also a reminder, this Friday night, the Warchant.com Casino Night and Celebrity Bartending, which features former FSU great and Super Bowl champion William Floyd, is going down over at the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill off Appalachian Parkway here in Tallahassee. The event will run from 7 to 11 p.m. It will benefit the Bar None Foundation. There'll be blackjack, poker, craps, the roulette table, lots of prizes. Apparently, Corey, we're going to be giving away these T-shirts that we have from 6 to 7 p.m., you and I, as Jeff Cameron will be doing his show remotely there from 3 to 6. So come on out there. We'll all be there. It'll be a fun time. Lots to get to as we begin Miami week, but let's just go ahead and just talk to Corey real quick and find out what's going on in his life. How are you, Corey?
I'm good, buddy. How are you doing?
Good,
All right,
man.
Good. Yeah, that's what's going on.
All right, got that out of the way. Good stuff. You are now, I think you're 2 up on me.
Yeah,
maybe 3
that
up.
Seems right.
I think
that feels right.
I think you're 2 up on me in the over-under after this past week. Congratulations to our winners. You've been tagged on Warchant. Please check your Warchant account. I'm sick of having to chase all you people down to give you free stuff like delicious food to Zaxby's, including a salad or 5 free chicken fingers. Just check Warchant, man. You're there. You're a subscriber. You put your picks on the website, on the literal same website that I communicate with you to let you know you won something. Come on, man. I'm not Ed McMahon. I'm not knocking on doors here giving you big checks. I'm not going to hunt you down.
Right.
That said, congrats to FSU Kenny, Coach Booze. Maybe that might have been maybe I did some shorthand there. Prime Nole, Kingpin _22, and Bo Noles. They all went 5 for 6. Corey, I think you went 3 of 6, and I went 2 of 6, or maybe I went 1 of 6 and you went 2 of 6. Anyhow, well, let's go ahead and look at what
Not great.
what
Not
we
great
picked on
either
that
way.
game. Sacks on Syracuse quarterbacks 3.5. We both said under. We were wrong. 7.
Wrong.
Look at that, man.
No real idea how bad that O-line was
Wow.
for Syracuse. That was a rough thing to watch.
Wow. Tamori and Terry touchdowns 1.5. You said under correctly. I said over incorrectly. Cam 95 yards rushing. We both correctly said over. Tommy Martin 40.5 yard punting average. We both incorrectly said over. Attendance 51,001.
Oh, I thought he said 50,001.
We both incorrectly said over. And as for the total points scored at 59, you said under correctly. I said over incorrectly.
So 3-3, 2-4.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, I went 3-3. I was keeping it up in my head right there. Not bad. Hey, not bad. If you're riding with me, you're not losing any money. Well, you're probably losing a little on the juice, but overall, I'm about even. Am I even for the season?
I went 1. I went 1 and 1 and 5. So, yeah, so you're 3 up on me then.
Oh, boy. This thing's about over. That's just about a wrap.
Jeez, man.
I'm just going to make you pick first every time and just pick whatever you pick.
It was a good run. It was a good run while it lasted. Again, congrats to our winners. Check it out on Warchant and let me know what your size is in the T-shirt. Actually, yeah, the two top people, the ones who went in first was FSU Kenny and Coach Boo. So you guys get the T-shirts. Congrats.
Yeah,
to
Coach
you
Boo
folks.
and FSU Kenny. Good job.
Yeah. All right. So that's that said. Before we start,
And also wear those T-shirts with pride.
Yeah, take a photo, put it on social media, tag us.
Yeah. It's
that
a
kind of
really
good
good likeness of, both of us really.
Well, yours is just nailed and crushed.
Yeah,
Mine's
I know,
okay.
I know. I mean, it's a little too gray, the beard.
All right.
Because in real life, it's not. There's some sprinkles of brown.
Right.
But other than that, yeah, it's pretty much perfect. It's dead on.
Yeah.
Except I don't think it catches my sexiness. I don't think it encapsulates how sexy I can be with that picture. I just look like a cartoon.
It's
character.
more wholesome. It's less brooding.
Right, sure.
Clark.
Because you've seen me in real life,
Right.
and you see how I talk.
People
to
see the video on
yeah,
YouTube.
They know what's up. Yeah,
the rap.
Sure.
Like, man, honey, no, it can't. I don't want you to watch this.
Exactly right.
I don't want you to see him, and then you know what else is out there. So let's just say it once, I guess, before we dive into the show, so we don't keep harping on and being pinned as the negative guys, the skeptical guys. By the way, I can't tweet anymore. You just open yourself to all sorts of just factional wars that go on Twitter between the fan base, and I'm over it, man.
I feel like that's what you're asking for, though, with some of your tweets. I feel like you're looking to poke a bear a little bit.
No, I'm just trying to relay info every now and then.
Oh, well, give me an example.
Well, the one about you, like you spotted 10 people on the field on one of the last, was it a kick return or something? Like towards the end of the game when the game was over, it was
35-10, I think.
It was over. And Willie, so you say that, and I got I think you might have had the binoculars, and I just start looking down the field to see where Willie's at, and like Willie, like grabs a play sheet out of a coach's hand and like tries to spike it on the ground, but it's a piece of paper, so it just kind of flutters and falls on the ground. Just to kind of let people know, hey, he's showing emotion. He was mad, like he was upset,
really mad,
And then so I tweeted that out. I'm like, hey, just in case folks want to know, and somebody like, oh yeah, see, and then people are gonna be like, he never shows any emotion. It's like, okay, he did it one time. All is forgiven.
Right.
Everything is fixed now. And I'm not saying that was necessarily a problem. It's something that I personally have noticed people complaining about, and we talked about in the program the other week. And then some people, talk about, well, these are things that you should have had buttoned up in, game 1. You shouldn't be game 20, and you're still having problems getting the right amount of people on the field.
Well, I think that was what that was like, again, it's 35-10. His team has played well. How do you only have 10 guys out there for a kick return? And it's the little things, it's the details that I don't know how they practice, and if they, you assume they practice stuff like that, but it's little details. And why isn't the coach making sure that there's 11? Why are the players on the field having to wave to say we're missing a guy out here? You get paid a lot of money to have 11 guys ready to go out there for a kick return, especially against a team that's already tried to onside kick once. And that's the thing that Willie's mad about. And I do think there's a lot of that. Willie Taggart has that in him. He's never going to be publicly like that, I don't think, when he's talking to the media, thereby talking to the fans. He's not going to lose his mind. But he'll lose his mind on a player, and he'll lose his mind on a coach. Mm-hmm. Usually it's behind the scenes, obviously. Right. But in that instance, it wasn't. He was really mad at Mark Snyder.
Yeah. I didn't want to throw Coach under the bus. But
well, he's the special teams coach. So he's really mad at Mark Snyder.
So, yeah, I mean, whatever.
Not a big deal. But
no,
that happens.
Not
that happens
deal.
In every football game on every sideline.
It's not a big deal at all. And then the people that want to make it into a big deal is just like, man, I can't even – it's like trying to argue with people about Jameis Winston as an NFL quarterback. Like, you just have those Florida State fans that are just dug in, doesn't matter. Tampa's just a failed franchise. Nothing's his fault.
Yeah. If he had been drafted by the Titans instead of the Bucs.
Can't have conversation with these people. And then I'm like, I got to know my audience. Shouldn't tweet anymore. And probably won't as much. That said, let's just say it one time, I guess, and then we'll dive into the podcast. And then that was a really bad Syracuse. I mean, that was probably the worst Power 5 team they're going to play all year.
Yeah, them or NC State, I guess you'd say, right?
Yeah. Well, I would say them for sure. I mean, because NC State handled them. So.
Did they? I couldn't remember if they'd played and what the score was. So, yeah, Syracuse is not very good.
They were without their best defensive player in the secondary. Apparently, they had a grad transfer offensive lineman who quit.
That's
last
right.
Week.
Yep.
They kicked a very nice onside kick and just ran right by it.
Yep.
Dino Babers classified as a mental error. So that was not a good team. So with that said, that being the qualifier for the remainder of the show, I guess let me throw a curveball. Let's start with the defense instead of the offense. I know everyone wants to probably talk about the offense, how great Cam looked, how awesome Hornibrook is, things of that nature. That defense looked pretty good. Like the defense looks really aggressive now to me. I mean, they're blitzing a lot.
Yeah.
And they're coming with a very aggressive sort of mindset. I don't know if there's a confidence now in terms of what they're actually being asked to run. And I'm not talking so much about like the effectiveness of it. And it was quite effective, obviously. They freaking stymied Syracuse for the first half and then did pretty well in the third quarter as well. I think fourth quarter is when they scored most of their points or whatever.
Yeah,
so
14 of them.
And it seems like they're blitzing a lot. And even when they're not getting home to the quarterback, which they did a bunch of times, 7 sacks, which is crazy, bizarre. It doesn't even feel like they sacked him 7 times.
No.
But they did. It's a true thing. It happened. But even when they weren't able to get home, there was no coverage break. There was no coverage bust. I feel like there was nobody open. Like it wasn't like DeVito was missing guys that were open. So even when they weren't able to get to the quarterback, the coverage held up. So I mean, that's kind of that's like to me that was the most encouraging thing that came out of the game. Crazy enough, for me, I thought that the way the defense, so just they had a certain aggression and confidence to themselves that I don't really remember seeing for that long of a stretch of a game against an opponent.
Yeah, I think Syracuse went like their first 6 or 7 drives and got 2 first downs, and they were both on penalties. So yeah, the defense was good. It was fine. It was really bad offense and a really, really bad offensive line and not a good quarterback. So it was a perfect storm. They did what they were supposed to do. They won that game convincingly. And then, the fourth quarter, they were gassed. They were exhausted, it seemed like. And I think Syracuse converted like 9 straight third downs to end the game.
That was
something
crazy.
ridiculous. But that's an anomaly. That's not you can't imagine that's going to keep happening. They did, for the most part, they did pretty darn well on first and second down. I mean, I think Syracuse had 23 third downs or 24 third downs. I think they were.
That was the absurd thing. How do you keep getting the third down that much?
They were 13 of 23 on third down. I think at one point they were literally 1 for 10. So they caught fire there on third down, but I'm not, there's not much I really take from the last 20 minutes of that football game. The first 40 minutes is what we should concentrate on, and Florida State dominated a team. And that never happens. That hasn't happened since Willie got here. Didn't happen the year before Willie got here. They beat teams. They didn't crush them like that. 35-3 was a good sign for me, but it also comes with the caveat and the qualifier that, man, it was a bad team. It was a bad Syracuse team that didn't look like it wanted to be there.
We said at the beginning, Corey, and I'm supposed to keep bringing it up.
Yeah, but I don't want – we're not that reactionary show. We're not like going to go up and down. Like we're not going to change the way we talk about this team after one win because it was nice to see. It was a good bounce back after a really bad week, but it was one game against a bad team. This week is everything. Because Miami – I know they're 4-4, but, man, they got a defense. They got the second-best defense you'll probably see all season. The 3 best defenses you're going to see this season are Florida, Clemson, and Miami. Miami's really good defensively. Mm-hmm. So that's going to be – now they're going to a new quarterback, I would imagine. That kid came in and won the game for him in the fourth quarter, so they'll probably go back to that freshman.
Jaron Williams.
So we'll see how that – from Gwinnett.
Yeah.
Shout out to Gwinnett. Gwinnetian in the house. You see how what Gwinnetians, the kind of heart they play with, don't
Absolutely.
you? You see what happens with these Gwinnetians. So good to see from him, but he's got to come into Doak, try to do something in Doak. But yeah, man, what do you say about that win defensively? That offensive line was completely overmatched by Florida State's defense. But they hit hard, they were aggressive. I thought the second half they gave up way too many easy running lanes, but they also had a 30-point lead.
Do you want to just dive right into Miami, or do you want to keep talking about the game Saturday?
No, I mean, we can talk about the quarterback and the wild cam.
Okay, talk about that. What is your initial feeling like when you processing what happened offensively in terms of them deploying the wild cam? Like, what is the narrative, or what's the thing that comes to your mind? Is it more of a why now, or why did it take so long?
Well, aren't those the same question?
Well, in terms of if
Both.
you have this,
I mean, the second part really, like, why did it take so long? I would have thought, they were whatever they were, 108th in the country in rushing offense, and they haven't
really,
they're not good at all. They're averaging like 125 yards a game. Then the one game they go to the wild cam, they run for 240 yards, and coaches' jobs are to give your team the best chance to succeed. This is something that I thought they should have done in 17, and it's certainly something I thought they should have done more of last year when they could not run a traditional offense. Their offensive line was too bad. Well, things are different when the quarterback is going to keep it. It changes everything that a defense tries to do to defend the read option, everything. And I just thought last year when did they have Patrick last year?
Yeah.
Was he on this team last year? You had Akers and Patrick. You could have tried some of that, and they never did except for the Notre Dame game. In that Notre Dame game, they scored 2 touchdowns out of it, and they barely went back to it. So
well, they did. Wasn't the whole diamond failed formation against Virginia Tech? Wasn't that technically wild?
Yeah, but that wasn't a wild. This was just, hey, we're going to be in. Cam Akers is going to be our quarterback this drive. Let's see how this works. And it's really hard to defend now, especially when you don't know what's coming. Miami knows it's coming now, so we'll see how they defend it. But they ran it. I did the research. They ran it 13 times against Syracuse for 111 yards.
That's pretty good.
2 touchdowns and a 2-point conversion. And that 2-point conversion just walked in.
Yeah.
So and they also they picked up a 4th and 2 on a 3-yard run by Laburn. Nothing but first downs and touchdowns and 2-point conversions with that thing. It was really, really well done. And he's a handful.
And Dino Babers certainly thinks they should run it more. He said as much after the game that he'd be surprised if they didn't run it a lot from here on out, because he's like, look, Akers can break 2 or 3 tackles on every play, but when he gets the ball and doesn't have to worry about
like 3 or 4 tacklers coming at him.
Yeah, he's like, if he's only having to break 1 or 2 tackles, it's a whole different deal, and he's got everybody blocking for him. Yeah, man, it's just, and it also got Laburn involved. He had 60, I think he had 98 total yards. He had 68 yards rushing. So yeah, it was. I thought it was really well done. It was executed well, with again the caveat of who they were playing. It's not going to be nearly that easy against Miami. They got some boys that can really, really hit and run. But for one game, it did make you wonder, like, why wouldn't you have done that? Literally last year, what would their record have been if Cam was just the quarterback the whole season?
Seriously.
Legitimately.
No, you're right, man.
And when you really think about it, what would their record be this year if Cam had just been the quarterback the whole season?
Is he the best quarterback on the roster?
I think with this offense, man, when you have a running back that can move, again, he's not a quarterback. He's not going to be sitting back there and throwing it 35 times. But when you have a running back that can move, it changes everything. And they have not had one since Christian Ponder. Yeah. This is just a whole different dynamic, man. I mean, EJ could run. EJ was fast. He just didn't run a lot. Yeah. Ponder was a running threat. And I think that's something that you do wonder, because you only got 4 or 5 more games left with this guy, that maybe these last year and a half, when you really struggled to run traditionally because you just couldn't block it, why not make it easier on your linemen by having – because I guess the thing, folks, if you're listening, you're not really understanding, and most of you are very smart people, you understand. When you run the read option or the zone read with a quarterback that you know is not going to keep it, ever, it makes it's not even an option.
Right.
It's just they're handing the ball to running back. Go chase him down. 12's not keeping it and running out the left side. 1's not keeping it. 12 didn't keep it last year. I just realized.
Yeah,
Hornibrook and Francois both wear number 12. So that makes it really easy to defend. Well, when you got 3 and 4 in the backfield, or last year if you could have had 3 and 9 in the backfield, well, you can't just go with the running back. You've got to go towards the quarterback because he's the best runner. Well, then you leave the running back holes for the running back. He gets to read the holes better. It's just to me it just seemed like a natural, and it's really bizarre they didn't do it. But I'm not going to complain because they did do it. Mm-hmm. They did break it out, and it was fun to watch.
Man, there's so many places I could pivot off of from this conversation. Let's go here first. Is he our Anquan? Is he like the Lost Decade Part 2's Anquan?
Anquan got a national title, though. Yeah. So he was part of a couple of really good teams, right? And he played for another national title. Yeah. So at least I think I've always thought Anquan's career wasn't what it should be here because of the injury, and then he just shared a lot of catches in 99 and 2000. I would maybe more like I'm trying to think of a really good player like Lawrence Timmons.
Okay.
Like that dude was awesome, but he played for some not great teams.
Right.
Leon Washington maybe that's a better example.
But like the dual threat aspect of him is kind of a unique thing.
I see what you're saying. With a guy that could throw. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
It's crazy that Anquan played quarterback in a Sugar Bowl.
Looked really good.
Yeah, and could throw the ball. Yeah.
Thanks, Talman. Good catch.
Hey, man, what are you gonna do? Yeah, you can't catch all of them, right, Tamarian?
I guess you mentioned obviously just the schematic advantage of it is just having 10 guys to block when you have a quarterback back there running wildcat sort of stuff. But Dino Babers kind of point. I mean, Dino Babers like, man, he could throw the ball pretty well too. It comes spiraling out of his hand. I guess how he threw it wasn't his first actual play from the wildcat, an actual throw.
No, the first one was a handoff to Laburn, and then the next 2 were passes to him. Yeah.
So I mean, the fact that he actually can throw, and people can call it gimmicky all they want. But he's a legitimate threat to throw the ball in an accurate, competent manner.
Yes.
I think makes this even more intriguing going into this Miami game because, Tim Linefeld, I think, mentioned as we were of Seminoles.com fame was mentioning as we were leaving the stadium the other night about, in the NFL, everyone remembers how good Miami looked that 1 week against the Patriots when Ronnie Brown went crazy and then
who was the other one?
I can't remember. I don't know. It was Ronnie Brown, and it wasn't
somebody,
Ricky Williams.
Right? Yeah, no, I was going to say Ricky Williams, but I think Ricky Williams did it some.
Did he?
Yeah, maybe.
I can look it up as you would like to say. Usually, it's not something that kind of sustains you. It's kind of like a shot in the arm, and then you kind of come back to earth the following week. At least in the NFL, it seems like. I don't know though. I kind of think. And I guess this kind of gets part into, why now? Why did you wait so long? Some folks, NYC, friend of the program, started a thread on the Warchant.com Tribal Council saying, why do it this week? Why not save that for Miami? I kind of think I preferred actually doing it against Syracuse, even though you outmatch them and outman them, because you do put it on tape, and it really does. It has to give Miami pause. I mean,
yeah, and
not
also
great pause, but they got to be like, well, damn, we got to.
I don't know that you want to break it out against that defense. I don't know if you want to run it for the first time in a live situation against that defense. Now you've repped it. Now you feel more comfortable doing it. I'd hate for you to run it twice against Miami and it get wrecked, and then all of a sudden you're done with it. Mm-hmm. Now you have confidence that if you do it correctly, it can be run well. And I do think it's going to be something they use moving forward. And I'm telling you, if I'm Taggart, I was like, Cam, man, look, I know you want to go to the NFL. I know you want to make millions. We're gonna spend a lot of money on your Heisman campaign next year because you're our quarterback. It's not gonna be wild Cam. It's just gonna be starting at quarterback Cam Akers. Right. You're our quarterback, man. Don't you want to come back and play quarterback? It'll be a little easier on your body. We're not going to have you run it 35 times. It'll just be about 18. And then you're going to make money because they see that you're a do-it-all guy. And you're going to make, hey, maybe you can play quarterback at the next level. Give us 1 year as the quarterback. I'm legitimately saying, I've said it about Travis Jay, I'm legitimately saying that their record would be better than 9-11 under Willie Taggart if Cam Akers had been the quarterback for every game. Maybe not by much.
Right.
But what did Francois do last year in any of their wins that Cam couldn't have done?
Yeah, I mean, Louisville, he had a pretty nice little second half, but you think maybe if Cam was a starter, you wouldn't have been in such a bad position.
You're just running all over the field. It's 42-0. You don't need a crazy interception late. Yeah. In the Miami game, if Cam is running that Cam the whole time, it doesn't even come down to a crazy lateral pass. Yeah. That's only a little bit tongue-in-cheek, folks. I really do think that when you don't have an offensive line that can block it all, you got to do something extraordinary at quarterback, and that might have helped out. But it's going to be interesting these next 4 games. But I do like the fact that they did it this week, almost as like a dry run. For all we know, man, for real, he might do it 40 snaps against Miami. This might be their plan, and it was like a slow. What do you call it when a restaurant like a soft opening? Yeah. It was like a soft opening of the Wild Cam against Syracuse, and then it's going to be the whole game plan against Miami and Florida. You can't block those guys otherwise, I don't think. The best way to have Akers make an impact, in my opinion, not lining them up by Hornibrook when they know the ball's going to him, just snap it and go. Just snap it and go to the guy. I like the overall game plan, though. Was like, where did this come from? The crazy triple pass, the direct snaps to the quarterback or the running back when it wasn't Wild Cam. I thought that was Akers' crazy halfback pass. That's the one that gives me pause about him being the quarterback the whole time. The one where I think it was a swing pass to him. Yeah. And he just, like he was getting pressured and he just threw it up for grabs into triple coverage and was not a good idea. That gives me pause about making him throw the ball too much.
Well, I think that's, him wanting to make a play and having few opportunities.
Yeah, if he did it more, he'd know, okay, I'm just going to throw this out of bounds.
Right. Yeah. Let's talk a little about the offense, I guess, obviously, since we're still we
got to talk about the quarterback, I guess, the other quarterback.
I just was going to try to get into this. What do people expect out of this offensive line that they continually get hammered for being so poor performing? I don't know what other games people watch, if they do watch other games, if there's a sort of fallacy that every other team besides Florida State gets 4 full seconds in a clean pocket without being under duress, 85% of their dropbacks. That doesn't happen. That doesn't happen anywhere. And I just don't know what people continue to expect from this offensive line. But then I pull up Pro Football Focus's grades, and it looks like 4/5 of your starting offensive line are part of the bottom 7 of your. Actually, I take it back. All 5 of them are part of your the 7th lowest graded guys. 5 out of the 7 folks are your starting offensive line. Dante Lucas pulling up the rear, absolute lowest grade of the entire offense at 45.6. Ryan Roberts third to last at 53.4. Ahead of him is Andrew Baselli at 53.5. 2 spots above him, Darius Washington at 55, and then Cole Minshew graded out at 55.6.
There you go, Minshew.
Brady Scott 12th overall.
Okay, all right.
With 56 snaps. So.
And again, but you look at those grades, and they're not good. And nobody would ever say that they're a good offensive line. Well,
I'm not trying to say they're a good offensive line. I just think they're –
But they ran for 240 yards in that game. Right. As bad as those grades are, in a lot of that, really, they got, the 80 of those yards, a third of those yards are on the Wildcam. That's a big deal. It's a big deal to do that, and also you have a really good running back, which really helps. Just when he's actually playing the running back position, Cam Akers is really special. So, I mean, they're not an abject failure. They're not a horror show like they were last year. There have been some improvements. You can't get in a position where you have to throw every down because you have no chance to block it up, in my opinion. You can't keep guys off either one of these guys. I think Blackman is more mobile. Obviously, he can avoid pressure better than Hornibrook. Although Hornibrook made a nice little dipsy-do move on one guy and had a nice scramble. But Hornibrook gets rid of the ball quicker for the most part. He did get sacked 8 times against NC State. But for the most part, when something's open, he'll get it there. But, yeah, overall, the offensive line is what it is. What they've done with that offensive line, I would imagine the grades overall aren't significantly better than they were last year if we're going by PFF.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Probably not at all. Probably not much at all. And yet, I think they're averaging close to 100 yards more per game. That tells you what the two guys that came in are doing, the improvements they've made on that side of the ball. Nobody's doing parades yet. We haven't planned a parade route for this offense. But it is so much better than it – I mean, just look. I know Syracuse is a different team. Think about that Syracuse game last year.
Right.
That was just banging your head against the wall, doing nothing. Francois flipping around, not wanting to be helped up by his lineman because he was tired of getting hit. And then a little more than 12 months later, you're putting 35 on those guys and 450 yards of offense and left with some points and yards out there. So overall, the offense is better. It is better. Is the team better? Yeah, a little bit better. I think we could both say that.
Is it enough, though? Is it enough? That's $1 million question that we won't answer. It's rhetorical. Alex Hornibrook graded out second best on the offense, only behind DJ Matthews. 71.1 was Hornibrook's grade. 68 snaps, 36 as a passer. Alex Hornibrook. So, yeah, a bit of a surprise. Saturday morning, Ira breaks the news that he was going to be expected to start. I don't think anybody asked Willie why he ended up going with that decision. I'm sure somebody will probably ask him later on Monday at the press conference. He wins. All Alex Hornibrook does is win football games, apparently.
Yeah, you know how I feel about that stat. Not a huge fan of it.
Well, that's what people say on the boards.
But he's played the majority of the snaps in 3 games. I guess the majority of the second half snaps, but I'll give him Louisville too for a little bit because he played at least probably half the snaps in the Louisville game since he had come in anyway in the first half and then Blackman got hurt. So in the 3 games that he's played, gotten his most snaps, they're 3-0, and you could argue they're the 3 best performances of the season. I don't even know if you could argue that. Yeah. Louisville's their best win,
right? And
then the other 2 games were 18-point wins.
But those other 2 games are the worst Power 5 teams are going to play.
Yeah, he wasn't at Virginia. And he wasn't at Wake. Those are different tests. Yeah. Not that Wake's defense is a test. So, yeah, I said after the game, I still believe it. I think he gives you a marginally better chance to move the football and win games. But it's marginal.
Right.
I'm not in the Blackman hater, Hornibrook lover. I'm not in the anti-Blackman camp or the anti-Hornibrook camp. I'm not in a
Or
camp.
they're like, what were you thinking this whole time?
No.
Willie not doing this earlier.
No, I'm not convinced I'm not convinced that the record will be any different with Hornibrook.
Well,
I'm not.
Really?
I mean, I'm not convinced. I think there's a chance, but it's just, I mean, again, they look pretty good against Syracuse, but half the time, I don't know that they scored 35 points because of Alex Hornibrook.
Right.
I mean, Cam Akers is the reason they scored those points. In the NC State game, again, they put up 31. Would they have not? Would they put up less with Blackman at quarterback? I don't know. I don't know. Just so far, he hasn't made any critical, awful mistakes, and he has made some throws that I don't think Blackman would make. Obviously, not that Blackman couldn't make because Blackman's arm is twice as strong as Hornibrook's, but that maybe Blackman doesn't see or doesn't get rid of it or looks at the rush a little bit while Hornibrook's staying in there. But again, you're not talking about NFL guys, either one of these guys. You're not talking about great players. But it does seem to me, just in the small, it's a bigger sample size now, but in the, what would we say, 10 to 11 quarters of playing time that Hornibrook has had, I think the offense executes at a little bit better pace.
Yeah, that's fair. I think there's also a little bit of like good fortune mixed in here on his end. He's made a couple throws into traffic whether it was the NC State game where pressure was getting to him or even against Syracuse where he throws it over the middle into some traffic and you're like, what was that? And it's not getting picked off.
Well, and think of, I don't know how
Blackman's passes get picked off.
What did he finish with passing-wise in that game? Like at 180 or 190?
196, I think it was.
Yeah, and 54 came on the crazy pass to Terry on the double. I mean, it wasn't like his arm was moving them up and down the field. The thing he does that I like is there was a play, I think it was the Cam McDonald. It was a 3rd and 5. It was a quick, like, crossing route, not quick, but a crossing route over the middle. He was pretty well covered, and he stuck it in there for a first down by half a yard. Those are the kind of things that maybe Hornibrook does that I don't know that Blackman sees it or trusts it or stays with him long enough to make that throw. And he made but that's the thing about Hornibrook. So he throws, I think his other biggest pass, he had 2 big passes other than the one to Terry. One is the slant and go to Terry for like, I think, a 30-yard gain in the first quarter. Well, a stronger arm kid, and that's a touchdown. Like, literally, Terry has to turn his back to the end zone to wait to catch it. And on another one, DJ makes a great move and then a great catch on an out move.
Right.
About 20 yards, 25 yards downfield maybe. And that ball's in the air forever, and it leads him almost out of bounds where he has to, I mean, that ball.
Is that the one where he's diving and almost came out of bounds?
Yeah, and there's nobody in the picture with him.
Right.
But, Hornibrook has to throw with so much anticipation because he can't just step and get it there that he has to throw even before DJ's made his cut. So he doesn't know how open the kid is going to be. Blackman could have waited another half second and just put it on him. I'm not saying he would have put it on him.
Right.
But that's what you lose when you have that arm. You just lose a portion of the field. There's sometimes, literally, when Terry is lined up out wide, outside of the hash, like between the sideline and the hash.
With the numbers and the sideline.
Yeah, sorry. And Hornibrook's on the other side, other hash, where you're like, well, he can't get it to him. Like, he literally can't make that throw. But there's other stuff he does well. And it's, there's stuff that Blackman can make those throws, but there's stuff that Hornibrook does that he can't. So it is what it is. You don't have 2 really good options here. So just ride the guy that's won you games so far, right? Wouldn't you say?
I mean, he's going to start against
I'll say Horny, and I know I don't care about win-loss record, or I think it's an overblown stat when it comes to quarterbacks, but he's in the 3 games where he's played meaningful snaps, they're 3-0. In the other games, they're 1-4. So go with the guy, even if it's just blind luck. Even if Briles just calls better plays with him. He certainly seems to give him a little more tricky dudes.
He doesn't get any blame for Clemson? I'm not blame, but he doesn't. That
they weren't.
Not on him at all. It's fully on Blackman. He gets all the.
Well, no, because he didn't play the majority of the snaps in that game.
He got meaningful snaps though.
Well, yeah, sure.
All right,
you know what I mean. Either way, it didn't matter.
It's a tricky thing.
Joe Namath.
It's just a tricky thing to balance because, again, man, like I think James Blackman beats Louisville if he plays that whole game. Probably. I think he definitely beats NC State if he plays the whole game. I think he definitely beats Syracuse if he plays the whole game.
Yeah, but the question is, like you said, what if Hornibrook plays against Wake and against Virginia? Does Hornibrook – we know Hornibrook ain't overthrowing Tamori and Terry on that go route in the fourth quarter. There's no chance that's happening.
Right.
Literally, it could not have happened. And maybe he sees the third down throw on the possession before a little better. I don't know. Or he just sees it at all and makes that throw. So –
I will say
somebody's going to be the quarterback here next year. I don't. Obviously, it won't be Hornibrook. I really don't know if it'll be one either. And it's cool that kid's still the captain. Like he's still out there for the coin toss, even though he's not the starter. That was But I just think we've had enough sample size of him now in this offense to be like, okay, let's give the other kid a chance and just see what it looks like.
I'm going to ask you a question. Let me know if it's a fair enough assessment or not. We'll ask it right after this, right here on Wake Up Warchant, presented by Zaxby's.
At Birch Orthodontics, they know what a difference a beautiful and healthy smile can make in your life.
They take the time to get to know you and perform a thorough exam so that they can make an individualized treatment plan just for you or your child.
They use the latest technology in a warm and comfortable environment. So whether you are interested in traditional metal or clear braces or clear aligners, they can give you the smile you deserve. They know investing in your smile means investing in your future. And at Birch Orthodontics, they are honored to be a part of your smile journey.
Serving Tallahassee for 16 years and supporting the Noles since forever. Check them out at birchorthodontics.com. BURCH orthodontics.com. Welcome back on in. It's Wake Up Warchant presented by Zaxby's and Maslon. He's Corey. So I'm going to ask you this, Corey. Is it fair to think that maybe this coaching staff or somebody on the coaching staff feels that Alex is better suited for the job based on the sort of play calling and game planning surrounding Alex's reps, if you will. That Clemson game, if I was a quarterback and you gave me a play sheet and you gave me the first 6 plays they had scripted for James Blackman and the first sort of 6 plays they had scripted for Alex Hornibrook, probably take the sheet that Alex Hornibrook had.
Yeah, he had a couple easy passes. He had the little shovel pass to McKitty, right?
Yeah.
That was a cool play.
Some eye candy stuff going out there, some exotic stuff that we really weren't seeing much of. And then you see the wild Cam finally unleashed in the game that he gets like a full start crack at home at.
Yeah, Blackman's like, oh, we couldn't do this when I'm running the show.
And if I'll be honest, not to sow the seeds of discord with anything, but like if I was James Blackman's like fam, I'd be like, what that would piss me off if I was his father, which his guardian didn't tweet anything after the game, which people are like, did he tweet anything? What did he say? What did he say? So I don't want to go down that avenue, but I would imagine if they're going to give him those sort of luxuries, I mean, does that not say anything about the confidence they have that either Alex can execute it better, or it's just better used with having him being out there, like it won't maybe go to waste? Or is that saying that Alex needs more help, so we're going to give him these more varied play calls?
Yeah, it has been noticeable. I do know what you're saying, but we're not talking about it's not wildly different. It's not vastly different,
right.
But there have been a couple of cool little plays for Hornibrook. I wouldn't call that triple pass thing a cool play. That was a nightmare that turned into I still can't believe that. Like, there must have been 4 Syracuse guys that got quarterback pressures on that play. Yeah. Like, I assume Akers, if you're getting ready to tackle him, and then he decides to just whip it back to a covered quarterback. But he comes and makes the catch and then throws it downfield. Terry intercepts it from DJ Matthews and runs 55 yards. But, yeah, I just thought that it looked like they opened the bag of tricks a little bit more this week. And, yeah, I have noticed that a little bit with Hornibrook. But by and large, it's the same offense. I think when people see, I think they're calling the same plays. I think they're running the same routes. Hornibrook just sees the open man quicker, and I think he's looking more because he knows his arm strength. There's no point for him looking 35 yards downfield on a post. He's looking for the intermediate and short routes very quickly and getting it to them quickly and in space where they can go do the damage, as opposed to Blackman, who has the big arm that wants to see if something's open downfield first. I think it might just be as simple as that. I also think Blackman doesn't get rid of the ball quick enough, and Hornibrook does, because Hornibrook has to, because he can't hold on to the ball, number one, because of his mobility. Well, no, number one, because of arm strength, number two, because of mobility. But, hey, it's actually it's cool that he's here. I made fun of it when he got here initially because I saw him at Wisconsin. He's not a great quarterback by any stretch, and I knew he wasn't going to turn the program around. But he's been a nice addition, man. He's been a good addition. It's cool that you have somebody like this that you can go to if you think your starter is struggling, and they clearly did. I know they didn't say it. They didn't say it last week, and you don't want your coaches to be like, man, we just got to get better play out of one. He's just killing us. You would never want a coach to throw a kid under the bus like that. So both Bryles and Taggart talked him up. But clearly they weren't happy with what they saw against Wake Forest. They think they should have won that game. And I think that they think their quarterback kind of let them down. And that's why they made the move. Right? What else would explain it? Because he had good numbers in that game. Not great numbers, but good numbers.
It was interesting to – you can defend you're going to have to throw a guy under the bus, but I mean, to get to the point where you're bristling at questions about quarterback play because everybody in the media thinks that the quarterback did leave plays out there, but you're pretty adamant that wasn't an issue at all. But then you come and you start some other guy.
Well,
it's just part of the whole.
It's what it is, buddy.
Yeah, it is. All right, so Miami comes to town Saturday, 3:30 ABC. I guess the whole part of the Syracuse game, Ira said it, best afterwards, was just, this game set up the Miami game. I mean, if they lose to Syracuse, then what are we even doing here? Besides just taking up bandwidth on the internet. So Miami comes to town. We assume Jaron Williams will probably start because he saved the day against Pitt.
Yeah, because Perry got benched in that game against Pitt.
He had to separate his shoulder, I think, like a non-throwing.
Oh, did he really?
I think his shoulder, his non-throwing shoulder, I'm pretty sure is hurt.
Well, either way, so the fact that Jaron Williams was in the game when it mattered at the end leads you to believe that he will be playing this week.
Right.
Whether it's for injury reason or poor play reason. I mean, Miami had one touchdown
the whole day before Jaron Williams took over.
Yeah. So I think I asked you this when we're leaving Doak. Is like the win at Pitt? I guess that's probably Miami's best win. Is that better than Florida State's best win of the year, which seems to be probably the win over Louisville?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think Miami's and you look at Miami's games, man. They barely lost to Florida, and they barely lost to North Carolina. Who was their other loss? I know they lost to Georgia Tech.
Virginia Tech.
And how did that game go? Were they close?
They're getting blown out. Then they came back.
Oh, that's right.
Stormed back,
And that game was
OT,
because their quarterback threw 3 picks or something. They were down 28-0 so they've lost 4 games by 1 in overtime, 2 in overtime, right? Wasn't the Georgia Tech game in overtime?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So they've lost 4 games. 2 have been in overtime, and 1 was to North Carolina, I think, on like the last play or the second
Virginia
last
Tech game was not overtime. I apologize.
But it should have gone to overtime. No, the kid missed the extra point. I thought it went to over.
42-35. They drove down the
that's
field.
right.
They drove
got
down
to
the field.
2. Yeah.
So Miami got like an extra down. Like they had 2 seconds left, and they ran a play or something, and they still had time to run another play. Ridiculous.
Yeah, and ESPN had already switched to the Georgia-Tennessee game, so we didn't get to see the final play.
Yeah.
Okay, that's right. So, but all their games have been close. They could.
Well, even the game against Central Michigan that they won was only
all
by
their
5
games,
points.
Yeah, in the Virginia game they won.
Yeah.
Was
17-9.
Yeah, was barely a win. So they're one of those teams like Florida State that could legitimately be 8-0 if some things had gone their way. They could also be 2-6. Literally, they're probably like 14 points in either direction from that happening. So this is a matchup of 2 teams that have played in a little bit of bad luck. Maybe are a little bit better than their records indicate, but this is, I mean, you can't lose. You can, obviously. No, the world won't stop spinning. But if you want any sort of positive feelings around this program for the first time in your tenure, you got to win this game. You've got to win this game. Then you'd be 5-4. You'd have finally beaten a rival.
Bowl game all but
clinched. And you have a chance to finish with 7 or 8 wins, depending on how the bowl game goes. I mean, if you want people to just be completely done with you, lose to a 4-4 Miami team at home with a freshman quarterback that just got benched in the Virginia Tech game for having 3 or 4 turnovers. That's how you lose all faith against a first-year head coach who's already said publicly they're in a rebuild, who lost to Georgia Tech, who we all think is the worst team in the ACC. They lost to Georgia Tech. So if you can lose to that team, man,
at home, they lost to Georgia Tech.
It's hard to think you're digging out of that hole, man. That you're already in a hole, and that would just make it it would double the size of the crater. And there's nothing you could do this year to get out of it, save for beating Florida, which you're not going to do.
Yeah, it's not happening.
So it's a huge one, really, really big one, like an enormous one. And I'm interested to see because Miami's good, man. I know Miami's defense is elite, in my opinion. That's an elite, very good defense. Their offense is not. So it might be a race to 17, race to 20, something like that.
Might be like a 2017 replay.
Yeah, it could be. It could. Wasn't that 0-0 at half or 3-3 at half or something ridiculous?
Something gross.
And then it was actually exciting there at the end, just up and down the field. Those two teams.
Malik Rozier, what happened to that kid? Did he exhaust his eligibility?
God, he was so bad. They lost. They couldn't. They would. Hey, who are we going to cover the Barrios kid with? I don't know. Just pick
What about Derwin?
Let's put him on the tight end doing a crossing route 2 yards in front of the line of scrimmage. Let's have McFadden man-on-man coverage when they're already in field goal. I was just, God, that's so dumb. But anyway, it's just a really, really big win. It's a really, really big game for him. I think what they did this Saturday is a nice step. But I guess to your point, but it means nothing. Yeah. It means nothing if you don't do it. If you don't do anything this Saturday. If you lose this Saturday, that's why I didn't even write about it after the game.
It was great. I love the lead to your column. It was fantastic.
I'm not writing that nonsense because it means nothing. The only way it would have meant nothing is if you lost. And I'm sorry, but that's the reality. The Syracuse game was only going to be a big game if you lost it. If you won it, you did what you were supposed to do. Now you move on to the game of the season. The game of the season.
4-4 Miami.
First 4-4 Florida State. Just what we all signed up for when we fell in love with this rivalry way back when. It's just a rough time of it here. But you can't lose to Manny Diaz, man, in his first year when you've been here 2 years and you've been given $2 million coordinators to help prop the program up, I should say, and get you back rolling again. And if you go in at home and lose to Miami, with a not a good quarterback, with a not a good offensive line, if you find a way to lose, man, I don't know how you bounce back from it. So I hope they win. I'm sure Hornibrook will play. I'm sure we'll see some wild Cam. It's going to be interesting when I know we'll talk about it later on in the week, but their way their defense is, there are just some throws that they know Hornibrook can't make, and I wonder how that will impact the way they cover their guys.
Can we negotiate like an armistice right now where like the outcome of the Miami game has to affect the way the fans are going to talk about this coach and this program and this team, and we probably have to all accept it. Like if he goes out there and beats Miami, just right.
Yeah.
I mean, like just at least until the first loss of 2020. Because even if they go and lose to Boston College, you come home and you beat Alabama State.
But
you go you
go 6-6 after 5-7. No, that's not going to keep people from being quiet. But
so this is like
it quells the screams.
Okay.
That would come if you lost to Miami. Okay. Frankly, you don't need to lose to Boston College. No, you're allowed to go up there and win a road game. Yeah. You are allowed to do it. You were 1-8 on the road since he's been here. Mm-hmm. Go win it, and that was because Louisville decided to just have a brain cramp. Yeah. Like, you got to go win a road game at some point. So even if you beat Miami, it's a reprieve for like a week. It probably saves your job for sure. If it's in any jeopardy at all, if you beat Miami and guarantee a bowl game, you're probably safe for another year. That's how big this game is. But if you lose at home to Miami, then there's no reason to believe you're going to win at Boston College.
Oh no!
And you're certainly not beating Florida. Yeah. So then what are you? You're 5-7 again, with an easier schedule and $1 million coordinator that was brought in to fix the offense, who has done a pretty admirable job doing that. Mm-hmm. And yet you still found a way to go 5-7 against the worst schedule. Great. And you're losing your best players. That's a really hard sell. That's how big a game this week is. That's how big a game this is. For real.
Yeah, so I pointed at the door and you opened it ajar, and I want to like kick it down now almost. Because like Willie, I think, has been really, as crazy as it sounds, I think Willie's been really fortunate. The way the last guy left made this entire fan base really rally around him. You know, people can talk about the ugliness of the fan base right now. We should probably mention the whole thing that happened at the end of the game.
Screw that guy, by the way. Screw him eternally.
Before we wrap up. But the amount of enthusiasm that was around this program at the spring game, 60,000 plus.
2018 spring game.
2018. Although maybe it was Salt and Peppa did most of it. Maybe they deserve most of the credit more so than Willie. But everybody was rallied around this guy, rallied around this team. The Virginia Tech game was a pretty solid turnout. And then, from there, things kind of obviously go sideways. This season, you start off with Boise State in a neutral field, and you get a hurricane that misses you but gets you a home game for free against a true freshman quarterback, and you couldn't take advantage of it. Louisville, you get their backup quarterback. You do take advantage of that. You play Wake Forest. Their quarterback, who might be literally the best quarterback in the conference, is out. You can't take advantage of that.
No. Second best quarterback.
I think he might be playing better than Lawrence. Lawrence is back, right?
Yeah.
They blew out Boston College. He's back. Yeah. Trevor Lawrence is back.
Yeah, he's still the best. I think he gets bored a little bit.
Okay.
But that kid is awesome. He's really good.
Jamie,
you got a real big break by not playing him.
And here you go, man. Like, this is – you have Miami with quarterback nonsense going on. One's hurt, one's a freshman and maybe broken for the year. And it's, I think – asking them to beat Florida should not have been a hard ask last year. You had all that tradition and history on the line, and you had that team, but at least you had them in Doak. But I think it's probably an easier ask to have you beat Miami this year in this situation. Like, if you want to have like this really sort of a pivotal game in your tenure, man, like you want to be this kind of lousy Miami team at home. Like, the stars have kind of aligned for you so that. You need to take advantage of it. But unfortunately for Willie, this is the unlucky part of him now, though, is, man, there's so much to lose, and there's nowhere near as much for him to gain in this game as there is for him to lose. Because as you mentioned, you beat Miami, but if you falter and lose 2 out of your next 3 after that, then really where are you? And then how much better off do people feel? And then if you do win that game, nothing's guaranteed for you. But man, if you lose that game, then oh wow, here comes all the nonsense again. To that point, which I don't even know, man. I couldn't even hear the video. So apparently somebody cursed at him after a win on homecoming. The guy's walking off the field.
Yeah, the guy, he was I saw the aftermath. Gene saw it as it happened, and I think there's video of it. I know there's video
I saw
of it
a video,
up
but I couldn't hear it.
He's basically he's leaning over the railing as they're walking off the field, as they do.
Into the tunnel. And
he's going, hey, Willie, like loudly to get his attention. And then when Willie looks over, he says, F you. F you.
He said it multiple times?
Oh, yeah, he kept saying it.
Jeez.
And you're reminded of, obviously, the Louisville game from two years ago when all that guy was saying was, hey, Jimbo, get better coaches. Right. Hire better coaches. And he says, why don't you come down here and say that to my face?
Which I liked. I'm sorry.
Guy, I mean, Willie's well within his rights to just jump up there and beat the living tar out of the guy.
Yeah.
I hate it. I hate that you can think somebody's doing a bad job. You could think that he's ruining your program. You're still a human being. And just because you're behind a barrier that says you have a ticket and you're a fan, you don't get to yell whatever you want to other human beings.
There's repercussions, yeah.
If you walked down the street and got in Willie Taggart's face and said, hey, man, F you, there's a good chance you'd get decked. Yeah. Rightfully so, but you think there's this imaginary barrier because you're a fan. You get to yell whatever you want to these players and coaches.
I paid for this ticket. I can say what I want.
Absolutely right. Say what you want. But there are repercussions to the freedom of speech. And that means that somebody can come kick your ass. And I really wish that had happened. Now that I've seen the video, I just saw the aftermath, and there were 5 cops. There were 3 cops in the stands with the guy, and there were 3 more cops on the ground pointing to him. And the guy was actually being kind of reasoned, like, okay, yeah, I'm going to go. He was no friends with him, of course. Now, he might have had friends with him, and they saw that, and they scampered the hell out. But just one guy surrounded by 6 cops, and then he's told to go, and he walks off. And, you can't arrest the guy, but take his picture and don't let him back in the stadium. And just you can be a human. You can even boo. That's your right. You don't scream stuff like that to people, man. Yeah. It's I don't know. There's humanity that's involved. You can be mad at someone. I would hope people. I know you don't like Aslan, most of you, right? It's at least 50-50, we'll say. But if you saw Aslan at a bar, you wouldn't go up to him and say, "Hey, man, you effing suck." I wish Corey would just have the show by himself. If you guys want to say that, go ahead. I want to know how Aslan would respond.
I've been waiting.
But like, you wouldn't do that. Like, what's the point of that? And just screaming at some dude, like cursing at him. Like, come on, man. You can even say, Willie, do better. We deserve better than this. Just don't curse at people. That has always bothered me. It's always bothered me how students in college sections taunt other basketball players or football players, and they're just supposed to be here like, oh, okay, well, I can't respond to you even though you called my mom that name and said something about my girlfriend. I can't respond to you at all, or I'll get suspended, or I'll look like the guy that lost his mind. But meanwhile, if we were in a classroom and you said that to me, you'd be up against the wall with my hand on your throat. Right. Why is that? People need to learn that just because I've said this before, maybe on this show. I was at it was Florida State basketball was playing Central Florida. It was the day that Jameis stuff broke on TMZ and the Democrat.
Lovely day.
So that was a funny story. I won't get into that, but the people that listen to headlines know that Tom Block story, which was really funny. But anyway, so I'm sitting there, and we're right in front of the zoo crew or whatever they call their stupid student section at UCF, and these kids are just making monkey noises and making gorilla noises towards Ojo every time he gets the ball. Michael Ojo, who is number one, he's the nicest kid I've ever covered, but he's also 7'1", 295 pounds of pure muscle. And you're 12 feet away from him, 20 feet away from him, with no barrier, no cops. But because you're in the crowd and he's on the court, you feel like you can do anything you want to him. And what if Ojo had snapped, rightfully so, seen somebody doing his gorilla noises, and walked up to him, grabbed him by the collar, and just beat the tar out of him? What happens?
He gets suspended. He
goes to jail, probably gets kicked out of
Yeah.
school. You know, and I know we're supposed to be like sticks and stones, right? But
turn the other cheek.
Screw that. Don't give me a reason to turn another cheek. Don't be a complete a-hole to someone and a complete racist pig just to make your friends laugh. There's a human being that you're doing that to. It really, really bothers me. Now, Taggart wasn't that egregious, but still, don't scream at someone, F you. Don't get right in their face and scream F you, because there is zero chance you'd do that if you were on the field. Because if you're on the field and you do that, if the players don't get to you first, Taggart pummels you.
Yeah, shout out to the players who defended him, by the way. A couple of the guys, I think, were like, "Yo, hey."
Screw that, man.
When I think
the problem I had with Jimbo is like there was nothing wrong with that. That guy wasn't screaming curse words at Jimbo. He was just telling him to get better coaches, which I'm sure you had texted a million times.
Well, I'm sure I would hope if somebody was like, "Hey, Corey, get a better co-host," you'd be like, "Come say that to my face."
It's true. I'd be like, I'm trying. We're stuck with him. Contracts for 3 years.
Yeah, it's the
And he won the game.
that's the thing. I mean,
It's the best game they'd played all season.
when I hear
The guy was the guy intentionally there just to yell that at Willie.
when I hear you tell that story, I think of somebody being in a courtroom and somebody had just wronged their family and like the verdict just comes down and it's like not guilty and you're so mad and you're like F you SO. You know, it's like, dude, it's Florida State 2019, kind of are what we are right now.
Come back
it's
next
homecoming.
week.
They won the game. Like,
Yeah.
you shouldn't be this upset about anything right now.
Yeah, maybe the Boise game, right?
Yeah.
Even still, that doesn't ever give you a right to
Yeah,
scream
no,
nonsense.
right,
Just don't, man.
So.
You can boo the guy. You can tell him to resign. You can do it politely if you want. If you want to make your opinion heard, don't cross any lines and don't be abrasive to the point of confrontational because it's not fair because they can't confront you. Yeah. You can sit there 10 feet up behind a barrier knowing that you're fully safe, knowing that if you got on the field right in front of them, you would never in a million years say that. Yeah. Anyway, sorry. I'll get off my soapbox now, but that bothers me. I wish Willie would have climbed up there and just beaten the tar out. Well, no, I don't.
Willie should have thrown
this
his
would have been a whole different show.
Willie should have thrown his visor at him, like Bobby.
Hey, thanks, man. Yeah. Appreciate it.
Like, love you too, man.
Be back next week.
We'll be back tomorrow. It's Wake Up Warchant presented by Zaxby's. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Warchant.com is the ultimate inside source for FSU football and recruiting. And now you can get in on the action for free for an entire month. Warchant.com is offering a risk-free 30-day trial subscription. Get full access to the #1 website covering the Seminoles just by entering the promo code WARCHANT30. That's WARCHANT30. Sign up and get in on the world's most active FSU message boards. Receive breaking news, stories from our award-winning staff, plus get exclusive interviews and videos. Just enter the promo code WARCHANT30. Warchant.com, your ultimate Seminole sports source.